You ever pick up a stranger on the side of the road, maybe just once, thinking you're doing the right thing? Or driven a lonely stretch of highway so late it feels like the world's forgotten you? Yeah, you tell yourself it's fine, until something happens that makes your blood run cold. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Night Terror. Tonight's episode takes you deep into the heart of darkness, with 3 terrifying stories of roadways, rest stops, and decisions that nearly cost people their lives. From eerie passengers to vehicles that follow you when they shouldn't, these are the kind of encounters that leave a mark, and sometimes don't leave survivors. So, grab a blanket, maybe leave a light on, and if you've ever experienced anything strange on the road, drop your story in the comments, or send it to this. And don't forget to like the video. It helps us bring more nightmares to your screen. Now, let's begin. But remember, some roads are better left untraveled. The passenger who vanished. A friend of mine, Jake, told me this after we went camping last fall. He's a long-haul trucker, 20 years in, seen every kind of crazy thing on the road. But when he told me this, man, I've never seen someone shake while telling a story before. Jake was used to the long stretches of highway, the humming of tires, the monotony broken only by truck stop coffee and the occasional storm. He wasn't superstitious, not the type to jump a shadows. But one night, deep in the Arizona desert, he picked up a hitchhiker, and everything changed. He was running a route from Oklahoma City to Bakersfield, California. Easy job, just another 3-day haul. It was October, the kind of early fall night where the chill creeps in just after sundown. Around 10 p.m., somewhere between Gallup and Holbrook, the desert swallowed the road ahead. No cars, no lights, just darkness stretching forever. Then, out of nowhere, he saw it, an old beat-up coupe with no hazard lights, just sitting on the shoulder, like it had been abandoned mid-thought. A figure stood next to it, male, tall, wearing a hooded jacket and jeans, hand raised lazily like he expected Jake to stop. Jake's instinct screamed, "Keep driving," but protocol and decency kicked in. You don't leave someone stranded out here. People die in this heat, even at night. He slowed down and rolled his window down slightly. "You all right?" Jake called out. The man stepped closer. His face was obscured, either by the hood or the way the cab light cast shadows. But his voice rasped like he hadn't spoken in days. "Car broke down. No phone. Heading west. Can you give me a ride?" Jake hesitated. His own phone had 0 signal. The next stop was nearly 40 miles out. He sized the guy up. No visible weapon, no twitchy behavior. Still, something felt off. "All right, hop in." The man didn't say thank you, just got in and sat rigid, staring ahead. His name, he said, was Evan. Jake tried to make small talk, but the guy was short on words. "You headed to California too?" Something like that. That was the only full sentence Evan gave for a while. The cab grew colder, though Jake hadn't touched the air controls. Even his breath felt heavier, like the air had thickened. He tried to ignore it, kept his hands firm on the wheel, eyes locked forward. Then Evan broke the silence. "You ever see someone die?" Jake blinked, glanced sideways, then back at the road. "Yeah, a few wrecks over the years, not something you forget." Evan chuckled, dry and low. "I watched a guy die once, didn't even make that car with a busted windshield, blood on the hood." Jake felt his mouth go dry. There had been something weird about the car, but they'd passed it 30 minutes ago, hadn't they? He checked the mirror reflexively and froze. There it was again, that same coupe, same shattered glass, same dark stain on the hood, parked on the side of the road like they'd looped in a circle. Jake's knuckles went white on the steering wheel. "Is that your car, Evan?" he asked carefully. Evan didn't look at him. "No." "But you said it broke down." "I never said it was my car." Jake's stomach turned. He didn't know what this guy was or what he wanted, but he knew one thing now. This wasn't just some unlucky traveler. He was something else. He picked up speed, carefully. Didn't want to alarm him. Every minute closer to that rest stop felt like crawling through a minefield. As they neared the lights of the travel plaza, Jake acted calm. "Gonna pull in, take a leak. You want anything?" Evan shook his head. "I'll stay in the truck." Jake nodded. As soon as he got out, he ran. Behind the gas station, around the back, where a crusty old payphone clung to the wall. He lifted the receiver. Deadline. He turned and saw Evan, standing outside the truck, watching, hands out of his pockets now. Pale, still, waiting. Jake bolted toward a white van nearby, banged on the window. A grizzled man inside jolted awake. "Please, call the cops, that guy, something's wrong with him." The man, name was Greg, grabbed his phone. "What the hell's going on?" "Just call." Evan didn't run. He just stood there, like he knew Jake wouldn't get far. When the highway patrol finally showed up, they approached Evan calmly. No resistance, no chase. He put his hands up and said one thing. "Did he record it?" Jake blinked. "What?" "The phone. The footage. I want to see it." They checked the dash cam. Jake had flipped on his phone camera in the truck, set it to record silently, hoping to catch something, anything, for evidence. The footage was grainy, but the audio was clear. Evan's weird remarks, his sudden mood shifts, the ominous laughter. Cops opened an investigation. They found the coupe hours later, 30 miles back, buried in a ravine like it had been dumped in a hurry. In the trunk was a man's body. Multiple stab wounds. Too damaged to ID immediately. The blood matched the smear on the hood. Evan didn't deny a thing. He wasn't a stranger, he told the officers. "We used to know each other, but he stopped seeing me, so I had to fix that." Jake was told to take time off. The company offered because Evan got what he wanted. Jake remembered. And he always will. The man on Route 16. A buddy of mine, Kenny, told me this after we met for breakfast at a diner off I-70 last winter. He's not the kind of guy to make stuff up. You could see it in his eyes when he told the story. Like he'd seen something that permanently changed the way he looks at strangers. He said it happened a couple years ago, late March. He was on a solo haul, running a load of HVAC equipment from Maryland to Utah. Kenny's a long-haul trucker, been doing it for more than 15 years. The kind of guy who's driven through sleet, ice storms, tornado watches, you name it. Nothing rattles him. But this night, this one got under his skin. It was cold, snow still clinging to the shoulders of the roads as he moved through the outskirts of the Appalachian region. By around 11 p.m., he pulled off at one of those old-time gas stations. You know the kind. Just 2 pumps, flickering lights, and a store that looks like it hasn't changed since the 80s. The place was dead quiet, except for the hum of the freezer and a distant owl. He grabbed a bad cup of coffee and stepped outside, stretching his legs before the next leg of the drive. That's when he saw the guy. Tall, lean, face hidden beneath a low-slung hoodie, hands tucked deep into his coat pockets. The guy was standing just outside the glow of the overhead lights. Then he stepped forward and tapped lightly on the glass. Said his car had broken down a few miles back. and asked if Kenny could give him a lift, just until the next town. Kenny paused. Something about the guy was off. Not threatening exactly, just heavy, like he carried this air that made the world feel quieter. But it was freezing out, and the guy looked like he'd been out there too long. "Where you headed?" Kenny asked. "Out west," the man said. "Far as you're going." That should have been a red flag, but Kenny figured he'd drop him off in the next city if it got weird. He nodded toward the cab. "Hop in, but I ain't going far tonight." The man climbed in without another word. The ride was silent. Kenny flipped on the radio to cut the tension. Some scratchy country song came through for a bit, then a news update. The suspect in last night's highway shooting still at large. Authorities say the man is believed to be traveling on foot or by vehicle. Residents in rural areas are urged to use caution. Kenny glanced at the man beside him. Hood still up, eyes fixed on the windshield, hands still in his pockets. "You cold?" Kenny asked. "No," the man replied. "Just tired." A few more questions followed. Kenny asked what kind of car broke down. "Old Saturn," the guy said. Asked where exactly. "Back on a dirt road near the last turnoff." Every answer was vague, just enough to keep moving forward. They drove for another hour. Snow started again, soft and slow. Around 1 a.m., Kenny pulled into a small rest area. Just a couple vending machines and a set of dim bathroom stalls lit by dying yellow bulbs. He told the guy he was going to take a leak and stretch. The man didn't move, just stared ahead. Kenny stepped out, walked into the bathroom, splashed water on his face. When he came back, the man was still in the cab. But now he was holding something in his hand, something small and black with a frayed end. When he noticed Kenny approaching, he tucked it away quickly into his jacket. Kenny didn't ask. They hit the road again, and that's when things got strange. As they passed an old overpass, Kenny noticed something on the roadside. A busted-out car, half covered in snow. Hood popped. The shape of something or someone slumped inside. "Looks like your car," Kenny asked without thinking. The man didn't answer. "Is that where you broke down?" The guy slowly turned his head, his eyes catching the faint glow from the dash lights. "That's not my car," he said. "Not anymore." Kenny didn't respond, just kept driving, hands gripping the wheel tighter with every mile. By 2:30 a.m., he told the man he was going to sleep for a few hours, said there was a rest pull-off coming up. The guy nodded but said, "I'll get off here." Kenny slowed down and pulled over. "There's nothing out here, man, you sure?" "I'll find what I'm looking for," the man replied. He stepped out of the cab and disappeared down a slope beside the highway, vanishing into the dark woods like a shadow being swallowed whole. Kenny waited a few minutes, locked the doors, and dozed off. By sunrise, he was back on the road, still shaking off the weirdness. When he stopped at a diner for breakfast and opened his phone, the headline hit him like a brick to the chest. "Fugitive at large. Suspect in officer shooting still missing. Armed and dangerous." The surveillance photo wasn't clear, grainy, but it was him. Same coat, same height, same eerie stillness in the eyes. Kenny nearly dropped his phone. He called the local sheriff's office, gave them everything: description, location, timestamps. They reviewed his dashcam footage, but the man had been careful, always keeping his hood low. Still, the timestamp matched the time the fugitive was last seen. They told Kenny he probably saved himself by staying calm. Most people who had crossed paths with this guy didn't get the chance to call anyone after. For months, Kenny kept thinking about that paracord, about the blood he swore he saw on the man's coat, and most of all, about those final words. "That's not my car, not anymore." He hadn't just picked up a hitchhiker because out there, on the endless road, with nothing but white lines and cold silence, sometimes you don't just share a ride. You share the end of someone else's story. And sometimes you only realize too late that it nearly became your own. Highway 213. The night I shouldn't have survived. A friend of mine, Ryan, told me this after we grabbed a drink last fall. We'd both done long-haul trucking for years, swapped stories all the time. But this one didn't sound like just a story. It sounded like a warning. He said, "I used to think nothing could rattle me anymore, but that night changed everything I thought I knew about the road." Ryan had been hauling a load of reclaimed metal beams from northern Illinois to Casper, Wyoming. It was supposed to be a routine overnight route, a straight push west with minimal stops, the kind of trip you could sleepwalk through. But somewhere past the Badlands, on a desolate stretch of Highway 213, things took a turn. It was nearing midnight, cold enough for frost to bloom along the windshield edges, stars cutting through the night like knife points. Ryan stopped at a worn-out gas station, the only one lit for miles. Just him, an old soda machine humming, and a sleepy clerk who didn't even look up. As Ryan was climbing back into his rig, he noticed an old pickup truck swing violently into the lot. No headlights, tires squealing, engine struggling. A guy jumped out, late 30s, scruffy, breathing hard like he'd just run for miles. "You heading west? Please, I need a ride. My truck just gave out and I can't stay here tonight." Ryan hesitated. Every instinct told him no. But the guy didn't look dangerous, just panicked, maybe even terrified. "Only as far as Elkhorn Junction," Ryan said. The man nodded quickly and climbed in. Once they were rolling, silence swallowed the cab. The man introduced himself as Carter, said he worked in communications for some federal contractor, kept glancing in the side mirrors like he expected something to be following. Ryan asked a couple questions. What happened to his truck? Where he was? He tried switching highways, turning unexpectedly, taking side roads. Every time the SUV reappeared, closer, more aggressive. Then, bang. A loud pop. The rig jolted hard to the side. Ryan fought the wheel and managed to pull into the gravel shoulder. Rear tire was shredded clean through. No debris on the road, no pothole, just precision. And the SUV, parked about 50 yards back, headlights on this time, engine purring low. "He must have done it back at the gas station," Carter whispered. "When I went inside to grab a drink, he slashed it while you weren't looking." Ryan grabbed his phone. No signal. He stepped outside, climbed a small hill beside the highway, held his phone up and finally got one bar. Dialed 911. The call went through. 911, what's your emergency? Name's Ryan McNally. I'm parked off Highway 213, mile marker 87. Rig's been sabotaged. SUV's following us, possibly armed. We need help fast. A patrol car is en route. Stay in the vehicle. Lock the doors. Do not engage. Ryan rushed back into the cab, locked everything down. He shut off the headlights. The SUV rolled forward, crept up to within 20 feet, then just stopped. Didn't flash its brights, didn't honk, just idled. They sat in silence, listening to the low grumble of its engine, hearts pounding. Every second was a scream inside their skulls. Then, finally, red and blue lights in the distance. A patrol cruiser. The SUV reversed sharply, spun around, and tore off down the highway, like a demon fleeing sunlight. The troopers were too late to catch it, but they got the story. Dashcam caught enough to confirm Carter's ID and the tailing vehicle. Later, the authorities ID'd the SUV's driver, an ex-intelligence analyst gone rogue, flagged under the name Leon Barker. Dozens of data breaches linked to his name. No confirmed sightings. Until that night, Ryan never finished the route. Another driver picked up the haul the next morning, and Carter, taken into protective custody, he was never heard from again. 2 days later, Ryan got a text from an unknown number. 4 words: keep your lights off. No name, no number, just that. Ryan's never done another night drive alone, and he keeps a weapon in his cab now, one that's not a utility knife, because out there, on the endless road, sometimes you're not the hunter, you're just the bait.